It's 1-1 in the Border Gavaskar Trophy. It's been an absolutely roller coaster of an experience watching this test series. And the third test, of course, happening in Sydney, begins on the 7th. The build up has been absolutely incredible. We've built into the new year, had a prolonged break, of course, from the second test, now heading into the third test. It's time to get back into business. There's been a whole lot to talk about. And that's why I'm joined by the esteemed company of Guy Walker, all the way from Australia, and Sandipan Banerjee, all the way from Kolkata. Gentlemen, very nice to have you here on Cricket News Down Under. Guy, how's it been like for you in Australia? Happy New Year, first of all. How has Australia been perceiving this incredible build up to the third test down under?
Yeah, happy New Year to both of you boys as well. It's a pleasure to be back, and pretty much I think it's good, mate. I think 1-1 it gives a little bit more hype to it, and obviously we'll get into it. But there's a lot of talk in the Australian media at the moment about who's opening the batting, so a lot of hype, and I think people can't wait to get the next test underway.
Yeah, it's huge. From an India perspective as well, Sandipan, a lot of conversations, a lot of injuries, a biosecure bubble breach. Jesus, this is sounding like a movie right now for Team India, isn't it? There's a lot happening, there's a lot of drama, and at the same time, we're also trying to focus on the bat and ball side of the game. So easy to forget that the game's about that, isn't it?
I think it's a perfect plot for another documentary, like we saw with the Australian team, the test.
The Ashes.
We can have something like that, the controversies or something like that. But yeah, I mean, it has been like all sorts of things that happen. Things have happened in Australia, and we are like, I'm getting a feel that I think more things have happened on this tour than probably in the 2007-8 tour, the Sydney infamous, I should rather say, Sydney Gate scandal and all that. So yeah, over there, the focus was only on the Sydney test. The controversies related to that. But over here, I think every test something is happening, and now we are talking about the fourth test also. So where I'm sure now that the venue have been confirmed, India will be playing in Brisbane, but the controversies related to that, I think it's a good time for the media to, I mean, lot to catch up, I guess.
Yeah, a lot to catch up.
It's good time to be a cricket journalist, I guess. At least if you are in Australia.
Guy can add a little bit to that as well. But Guy, honestly, New Year's test is obviously the Sydney test. It's been like that for a long time. India, of course, there were conversations about being in Melbourne, playing the test in Melbourne, but now that the caravan of the series is moving to Sydney, what is it that you can experience? What do we have in front of us in Sydney, Guy, that you can sort of give us a visual picture about?
Yeah, it's an important test match because it's obviously Pink Day, Glenn McGrath's past wife. So it's quite a big occasion. And I don't think it would be strange if it wasn't in Sydney. I think it's Pink Day, third test, New Year's Day, and it's always an amazing test. It's always good weather. It spins. It does quite a little bit at sort of day 3, 4, 5 at the Sydney test. So it's always good to watch the spinners come into play a little bit more, which will probably play into India's hands, especially with the way that Jadeja and Ashwin are bowling at the moment as well. But it's an amazing spectacle, amazing ground to play cricket at, and I'm happy that it's there. And it's just, I think it's there's a hell of a lot of sort of controversy at the moment where tests are being played, and I really like how some of the Australian players have come out and they've just said, we don't care where it is. We're planning on playing the Sydney this test, the Gabba next test. We just want to play cricket. We don't care where it is. Let's just focus on that.
Yeah, a lot of conversations around in the Australian camp. Tim Payne actually in the press conference also mentioned that he was very categorical in mentioning that his Australia side haven't really played to their full potential yet. Apart from that 1 hour in the first test, they have really not taken the game by the horns. And they'd be desperate, Guy, to bounce back hard in the third test.
Oh, 100%, mate. I think you hit the nail on the head there. It's really hard to start well as well when sort of the openers, Matty Wade's done a decent job, but when you're 1 for 10 every test match, it makes it hard, doesn't it? Because like we said before the second test, is that it makes it hard for people like Labuschagne and also Steve Smith when they're coming out facing the new ball. and then they're getting exposed to the new ball, and it's worked in India's favour so far. So I think obviously the opening partnership is going to be massive for Australia, but yeah, they haven't played that well, to be honest. It's just sort of their bowlers have kept them in the game. Even last Test match, the batting is a massive concern at the moment.
Which is why you have such conversation about David Warner, isn't it? I mean, if he's obviously not 100% fit. He's come out and said that by himself. He says he can run between the wickets, but fielding is a different matter altogether. But knowing David Warner, we know that he likes to throw himself around in the field. He's a live wire in the field. Is there a chance of putting himself at risk yet again if he tries to push the envelope and sort of be a part of this test? But it looks like he'll be a part of it.
Yeah, I definitely do, mate. I think Dave is someone who I've seen is that when he's out there, he'll give 100%. He'll give, not only that, he'll give 110%. So I can't see the Australian physio saying to him, Dave, make sure that you don't run around too much and be at 80%, because he can't play like that. He's brutal. Like I said, it was a while ago now, but being sort of 13th man at a couple of Boxing Day test matches, whenever Australia get a wicket and you run a drink out there, he's always chatting to the batsman that's in. He's always it's not always sledging. It's a bit of banter sometimes, but he's so into the game that he just wants to be there. He wants to be involved. So I think he's a massive chance to maybe get injured again. But that just shows how desperate Australia are at the moment. We're just saying off air is that an Australian side would have never played anyone at 80% fitness, but that's how desperate they are now, aren't they, boys?
Yeah, injuries. You spoke about injuries, and then Sandipan, India also have their fair share of concerns with injuries. Umesh Yadav, of course, now out. It looks like Navdeep Saini is going to be in. What is it that you're hearing from Australia?
And I think one of Navdeep Saini and Thakur will play. And the net session we had today, what I'm hearing that Saini bowled a very long spell. In fact, both bowled a very long spell, but one senior Indian batsman, actually, he was quite impressed with Saini's length and control. So indications are that Saini will be picked ahead of Thakur, I guess.
Yeah, no outside chance for our darling T. Natarajan to be a part of this. Everybody wants to see that.
I'd love to see it.
I would have loved as well, but as apparently some of the management people believe that he hasn't played enough first-class cricket yet. That is one concern. So bowling 4 overs or bowling 10 overs might be different to bowling maybe like 20 overs in a day. So that can be a concern. Also, his length is probably ideal for white ball cricket, but when it comes to red ball cricket, they believe on Australian conditions, he might be a bit too full. Yeah. So that is one. So I guess I'm afraid we are not going to see Natarajan, but I've just got a notification that the PC press conference is starting soon. So I hope that India will announce their team with their 11. Yeah. But what I'm hearing from Australia is that Saini will play.
Yeah, and also knowing this team and the management, they're big on processes. We saw that with Gill being a part of the 11 ahead of KL Rahul, who's arguably in the form of his life, because Gill was a part of the setup for a long time. Gill was given that go ahead, and it seems like because Saini's been around in that mix, in the red ball mix for a while, there've been conversations around it. It looks very likely that Saini would probably get the go ahead. Guy, the conditions at Sydney. Do you think someone like Saini will thrive in it, or do you reckon someone like Natarajan or Shardul will have a good chance?
Yeah, I agree with you a little bit with Natarajan. He's a very good white ball player, a white ball bowler that we've seen, and he I think why he was so successful here is he's able to bowl a good stock ball, but his change of pace and his Yorkers were quite impressive, where you're not going to quite need that at test level. You're right. He's going to need to bowl 20 overs of good test match length, which is a tough thing to do. And I watched Saini bowl a little bit in that warm-up game. In some spells was really impressive, and in some spells was quite unimpressive. I watched him bowl one spell. He's bowling 135, 140, testing the bat every ball. Got a couple of wickets, and then he came on for his next spell, and he went for 6 and over for 10 overs. So I think if he can bowl that sort of test match length, really hold up an end, that he's going to be quite successful. I was really, really impressed with Siraj though last game. I thought he was similar to Saini in the warm-up game, and he's come out. He's aggressive. He bowls a good length. He tries really hard, and I think that's sort of been the onus on some Indian fast bowlers in previous years, is that they come out and they don't probably bowl the same pace in the second and third spell, but he did, and I thought that was really, really impressive.
Yeah, and obviously there's been a lot of conversation around Saini as well, because he's tall, he hits the deck hard, and in Australia, these traits really add up and add value to the team. Gone are the days where India would travel with one medium pacer and four spinners. Now you have options and options and options, and we're intimidating the Australians, which is actually a good sight to see, isn't it? But going back to the top of the order for India, of course, Rohit Sharma announced as vice captain, which pretty much means he's going to be a part of the 11. And the calls between Mayank Agarwal and Hanuma Vihari, one of those could sit out. Sandipan, what is it that you're hearing at the moment? What are the conversations around Team India? What have you been sort of hearing from the net sessions?
Regarding this, I haven't heard anything specific from the net session, but considering the circumstances, Mayank isn't like, I think Australian bowlers have walked out Mayank, at least for now on. He's very susceptible to his foot movement early on against the new ball, and I think that can be a concern for the Indian team, because they don't want their middle order to be exposed against the new ball.
Yeah.
So I guess probably Mayank will sit out, and also we have to consider, though India will have two spinners, but Hanuma is a good off spinner as well. And Sydney is traditionally considered, is a one Australian venue where spinners do come into the game, at least in the maybe in the third or fourth innings. So I guess they will probably go ahead with Hanuma and play Rohit ahead of like Mayank.
Yeah, it's a venue that India has liked as well in the past, isn't it? They've enjoyed playing at Sydney. Fond memories. Nearly won in the last series as well. So big memories. Guy, your take on that? Because at the end of the day, Mayank Agarwal has been one of the breakout Test players in the last 2 years. He's been in, he's made runs and runs and runs in domestic, and then for India at the international level. Bit harsh on the guy to set him out.
Like off air, I really like him. I've seen him interviewed a couple of times. I think he's really, really humble. He's a good player. He scored the runs. But I think I think Ricky Ponting has summed it up. I think there's a massive, massive technical issue in Australia facing the swinging fast ball for him. His bat is so high at release that he looks like he's getting done for pace all the time. And I just think whenever Mitchell Starc bowls 150 kilometre in swinger, he's susceptible all the time. So I'd probably play Vihari as well. I really like Agarwal. I think he's done the work in first class cricket, but I think get Rohit Sharma in. He's got the experience. He dominates against Australia. I know it's white ball he normally dominates, but he's a class player. I honestly think India will win this Test match. I think if they can even be even after the first 2 days, I don't think Australia's batting lineup will be able to face Ashwin and Jadeja on a day 3, 4, 5 wicket at Sydney.
Yeah. Obviously, there are traditionally Sydney has seen support for spin bowlers, but a lot of stats suggest that in the last decade or so, it's not been the case. Fast bowlers have really thrived in Sydney over spinners. But is that a trend you've seen lately, or do you think you would see a traditional Sydney surface?
I think you'll see a traditional Sydney surface. I think that sort of stats shock me a little bit. It might be because I think the first couple of days it does swing a little bit in Sydney. There's always a bit of moisture in the wicket. But I don't know. I just think the way that I watched Ashwin, I think Ashwin's in absolute career best bowling form at the moment. He's bowling beautiful pace and he's just challenging the bat. And the thing I love about the Indian spinners is they don't leave the stumps. So what they do is they just challenge you every ball. And Australia actually at the moment, their batting lineup's a little bit susceptible, especially with Smith not scoring runs. So I think them two on a day 3, and even if they're not taking wickets, they just don't go for runs. That's the other thing. They hold up an end. Like look at Ravi's sort of stats last Test match. I think he was going at like 1.3 and over for the second innings. He just can't score against him.
Let's turn our attention towards Australia as well. Sandipan, would like to hear your perspective on this, sitting, obviously as an Indian journalist. if, if there's so much conversation about Will Pukovsky. We've spoken about him on our previous previews as well. You look at this Australian top order. You look at the opening, of course, and you think there are wickets there to be taken. Is this the time to give someone like a Pukovsky a debut? Because hey, a lot of people have said in the past that there's no better team to give someone a debut than India.
Absolutely, absolutely. Like, if from an Indian perspective, I'm saying if I see Joe Burns opening the innings, and I like what happened in the first two tests. Obviously, he's not part of the squad now anymore. But if I see an informed opener being part of the innings, like what happening with the when Prithvi Shaw was playing for the India, then I know as an opposition captain or opposition bowler, okay, fine. Here I can get at least I'm confident enough to get 2 wickets within the first 10 overs, and I can expose the number 3 or number 4, who are the best, probably the best batsman in the team, against my new ball, against when the ball is still new. So
Right.
obviously, I think what my feeling is that Australia will play a completely different opening pair in this test match.
Guy, your thoughts? Who sits out then if that happens?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of possibilities, and I agree with you, Sandipan. I think Warner will come in. They're desperate for him to get in. He's been. I don't know if you guys saw it, but there was a lot of live shots going to him in the nets in Melbourne.
Yeah.
Hell of a lot of it. So I think he'll definitely play. From what I've heard, I heard that Will was pretty much fit to go last Test match, so he's right in the mix this Test match. But the only thing that I think they're so concerned about his concussion that I don't know if they might hold him back, especially when it's 1-1 to make your
Right.
Test debut. It might have been different if it was 2-0, but I don't know what they're going to do with Trav Head. I haven't heard a hell of a lot what they're going to do with him. But me personally, I'd have David Warner in there with Marcus Harris opening the batting, and then I'd put Matthew Wade down to 5 and probably let Trav Head go for a little bit and get him back to the Big Bash or Shield cricket and let him score some runs, because I just don't think he's probably scored enough runs at the moment. But Marcus Harris is averaging 130 at Shield level as well. I'd love to see Will play, but I don't know if they'll go with him. I hope they do. If they don't go with him, I've got a feeling they'll go for Marcus Harris.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair
It's
point.
become
Fair point.
it's becoming more evident than ever that the first hour in every test is becoming crucial, right? It's absolutely vital. No matter who has the ball, the first hour is absolutely important from either of the team's perspective. Guy, what are the conditions that we can expect in that first hour in Sydney? Do you think it will be batting conducive, or do you think the bowlers will have their tails up?
Well, we've actually had quite a bit of flooding in Melbourne and Sydney at the moment. We've had absolute mass rain, so I'm not too sure how Sydney's looking. I imagine the ground staff, it's an amazing ground. It'll drain really well, but they probably wouldn't have been able to get the work on that they would have liked to have got. So
Yeah.
I'm really hoping for almost a bowler friendly wicket. It might have a lot of moisture in it. It might have Sydney's normally got a bit of grass on it, and it dries out to the end, but
Yeah.
I've got a feeling the first day, I think Sydney's weather's starting to get okay now, so it might be
Yeah.
a little bit overcast and it might swing and actually seam around. And I think someone like Saini as well, being so tall and he hits a seam, he could become vital. He could almost become that kind of Ishant Sharma, come in, bowl fast, hit the wicket really hard,
Yeah.
scare the Australian batsmen. And that's what I've loved so far from India. They're quicks. They're just, even Umesh, I've always had a massive, I've always loved him. Shattered, he's gone, but I think Saini can do an amazing job.
Yeah, 40% chances of rain with showers between 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Apart from that, it's looking cloudy skies. So
Yep.
do you think that will probably influence the decision taken at the toss, Sandipan?
Yeah, of course, of course. I mean, at Melbourne, let's not beating around the bush anymore. It was a good toss to lose for India,
It's true.
and I think if the conditions will, as Guy has rightly pointed out, if the conditions
Yeah.
will remain overcast and cloudy and it will seem around, then I would as a captain, I would love to field first, and especially when I know that one of my openers has just come in from India. He hasn't had any practice game. I'm talking about Rohit Sharma. So why not? I mean, probably the day two or day three will be best for batting. So I know that India have two spinners. I know that the Sydney wicket can be, chasing batting fourth in the Sydney wicket can be tough. But again, if the target is around 100 or 120 or odd, I think India can do that. So I think India should follow the Melbourne template, I guess.
Yeah, just reading some excerpts from the Rahane press conference, making it very clear that the focus is on tomorrow's game and not on complaining about quarantine. That's part one. The other thing is excited to see Rohit back. He'll be batting at the top of the order. He's been batting well in the nets. There you go. We know Rohit will be opening tomorrow. There's no need to discuss about him possibly
Yeah.
batting at five. The other things are, I mean, developments are still unfolding. So it
So
seems like, guy,
which has also confirmed our point that Mayank is not playing and Hanuma is playing.
Yeah.
pretty much so the case. But guy, from an Australian perspective, you see this team being very direct upfront, announcing teams one day prior to the game. It's not, you haven't seen such behavior from a visiting team a lot in Australia before. How does
Especially from
Australia,
India. Especially from India.
especially from
Yeah,
India,
India is normally
absolutely.
very secretive.
Exactly. So how is the Australian media and Australian cricket fraternity sort of perceiving this attitude, this clash of attitudes between these two sides?
Yeah, I think it's been great, mate. I love it, and I think we couldn't have summed up the last Test match better. I think before the Test match started, we all agreed that India have to bounce back first session, first day. Rahane's got to step up after averaging 30 since 2017. And
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, he's not a massive talker, Rahane, but he did his talking with the bat, didn't he? Like I think I read a quote. It might have been from Gavaskar. I think he said it was one of the most important innings in Indian history. And I tend to agree with him. No Kohli, 1-0 down, standing captain. What an innings! And I think for them to come out and announce their team early, it just shows that, you know what, we've got faith in these 11 blokes here. We're going to beat you, Australia, on your home soil again and without our star captain. So I love it. I think the way that India were always going to win this Test series was to come out, be aggressive, play good cricket, be attacking, and that's what they've done in that second Test match. But I think people forget as well is that in Adelaide, India dominated the first 2 days. It was only because Josh Hazlewood and Paddy Cummins came out and bowled the house down and bowled a team out for 30. But other than that, they probably won more sessions during the Test match than Australia did. It was just that they won it by so far. So I think India are going to win this Test match. I've just got a massive feeling that they're going to play. It's going to be even for the first 2 days, and then they won't be able to score off the two spinners.
Sandipan, this team is also looking a lot more expressive and confident, isn't it? You're seeing leaders, you're seeing the experienced personnel take up some leadership roles. You're seeing Ashwin doing a lot of the talking. You're seeing the likes of Bumrah as well taking the leadership roles, in certain capacity. There's a fresh look to this team, isn't it, with Rahane as captain?
Absolutely, absolutely. I am a huge fan of Rahane as captain. I have followed him quite closely. I have seen his captaincy style. He allows his players to be within to express themselves. So I guess I am quite fond of Rahane, and I was reading one quote the other day. If one leader leaves, many other blossoms in the team. So I guess
Sandipan's waxing
that's
lyrical again, friends. This is happening.
no, just I'm
Like the
just
side of
saying.
you.
So yeah, I mean that's what that's what is happening in this India team. But I like the look of this Indian Test team. They are aggressive. They are ready to take. Our captain is leading from the front. The bowlers are not afraid to bowl, intimidate the opposition with their pace and bounce. So I guess why not?
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
been.
we ended the 2020 on a high note. So let's hope so. And let's not forget all these things. I'm keeping it very close. I won the World Test Championship points table. New Zealand have won. Let's not forget that New Zealand have beaten Pakistan, and now they are at the top.
Yeah.
So India, to make it to the final, I think they have to, do well in the rest of their 6 games. So I guess that's an interesting scenario building over there as well.
Yeah, we've got our predictions in. It's a resounding India contingent here. But I think all of us are aware that we cannot take Australia for granted. In Australia, especially,
Absolutely.
A wounded tigers or wounded kangaroo rather is very dangerous. And
Steve Smith is due, and that's the most
yeah,
important thing. Steve Smith is
absolutely.
due.
Yeah. I mean, Steve Smith, David Warner, Manas Labuschagne, remember again, who's got a couple of starts, who hasn't really capitalized. you never really know in Test cricket, and especially when Australia's playing in Australia. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have today. Otherwise, this video will just keep going on and on and on and on. But it's always a pleasure to host Guy Walker all the way from Australia and Sandipan Banerjee from Kolkata as well. Thank you so much, gentlemen. We will see you shortly.
Thank you.
Been a pleasure.
Always
Thanks,
a
boys.
pleasure. Thank you.